Hi, everyone. This is Julie Roth Novack. I am the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate. I am so excited to have our special guests, the one and only Colin Cowie. Colin, I think I've told you this before, but I was a stalker of yours at the first Engage. That's Colin Cowie. Oh my God. I had Darren introduce us. I was like, that was a big deal. I've been following your work for so long. So I'm really excited to have you on.
Delighted and happy to be here. And I remember that moment very well. I believe that we were in Palm Beach at the Breakers.
We were.
Walking along the great greeny grass lawn.
It was about 100 degrees.
Darren made the introduction. No
Yes.
different to the temperature today. I happened to be calling in from Surfside in Florida, just outside of Miami and Bell Harbor. And I remember you telling me exactly what you're going to do.
Yes.
And I love to see dreams come together. So congratulations on building an extraordinary platform and doing such amazing work for our industry.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited to have with me Pamela Rothbard, who is our editor, managing editor, and all of the amazing newsletters and the articles. That's really her lead. I know she's interviewed you several times, Colin, about your wedding and other topics. So she's going to be helping me moderate the conversation today.
So this is 2 against 1.
Yes, exactly. And I love that Bob Conti is now in, and he's always the first person to say hello. So hi, Bob. But we're going to wait a couple minutes. I'll just do a little bit of setup to let more people come into the room. But Colin, today, obviously our topic is talking about events opening back up and what's going to happen as the country in different areas of the country are opening up faster and slower, and how the events world will once again grow and dominate as we did. It's just going to take us a while to get there. So that's our topic today. We have about 6 or 7 questions, and I really encourage everyone on the call to change your chat to all attendees and panelists so that everyone can see your questions, and we can also see where people are calling in from. I know people from all over the world are coming today. We had over 1,000 people register, which is very exciting. I know this is a hot topic. And next week, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. We're actually going to have Gertie Design on the call, and we're going to talk about 4 steps to building a strong, inclusive brand, which we know is very timely. We're taking that very seriously at PartySlate, and we're excited to partner with Gertie in that. So I think we have the chat is lighting up, Colin.
I can see it right in front of my eyes.
Yeah, so again, we have people literally from across the country, across the world joining. And when I started PartySlate about 5 years ago, when I stalked you at Engage, our vision was really to build a place where people get inspired from new ideas, but really more importantly, find the best local event professionals and venues. And so for the people that are new on the call, PartySlate is a place you can create a free profile page, or if you're too busy, we can manage it for you. We have premium membership options, but you can build a beautiful profile page that doesn't just show your weddings, but it can show your 40th birthday parties and your corporate events and your fundraisers. We believe all events are inspired, not just weddings. And so this is a great place where people can come get inspiration and find the best people. So that's just my quick intro. At the end of the call, Colin, we're gonna show your profile page because it's so beautiful, and talk a little bit more about some new features. But to get this started, Colin, you are an amazing leader in the industry. I love hearing all about your background. You've really built such a strong brand worldwide. Can you tell us a little bit about your founding story and really how you scaled, even beyond events? You're doing consulting with hotels, you're doing destination events. Tell us a little bit about your founding story.
I always knew I wanted to be in the entertainment world one way or another, but I never ever had any desire to be an actor. And I was living in South Africa at the height of apartheid. I didn't believe that there was a future in the country at the time. And I wanted to live in a world where it was fair and where the weather was the same with a similar language, with the same language. So I set my sights in the US, and I moved with $400, one very well-cut suit, an omnipresent suntan, and big dreams. And I landed in Los Angeles. And I started a small catering company, and I watched where the rentals came from, where the waiters came from, who the florists were. And within 3 months, I had my own business. And I started off doing these small parties. I remember I would chop, slice, dice, peel, clean, run down to the market, get the food, serve, and I was a one-man show. And it started to catch on very quickly. And fortunately, it grew into a very large catering company, event planning company. And I was having the most amazing time because working in South Africa, I felt like a kid who had his hands tied behind his back, who was painting with his feet in black and white. And all of a sudden, I was in Hollywood and I had Technicolor at my disposal, which was fun and exciting to do. And one thing led to another, and then I started contributing to InStyle magazine. No one had heard of it before because I had access to the celebrities that they wanted to put on the covers. I started doing columns for them. Then came my television show, and then the licensing deals to start doing china, crystals, linens, and silver, book publishing. And it's been an amazing, amazing journey. And I've never, ever really, until now, I'm actually currently writing my 11th book. It's my first book. It's a business book. It's the gold standard on customer service. And I've only in these last 90 days, I had a time to sit back and reflect. It's been the most extraordinary journey and the most extraordinary ride. And it has been slow and steady wins the race. I've just kept on moving forward and kept on moving forward. I've always liked and thought of myself as an innovator. I remember when I first got started out in this business, the rental company had folding chairs, tablecloths with more polyester in them than you found in your credit card, right? And it was not a very, very innovative business back then. You know, the party planner really was the social secretary who was taking care of engraved invitations and calling a caterer and a band and a florist, and that was the extent of it. I started covering swimming pools with glass and finding furniture and slip covering it and upholstering it and using things that we'd never seen before. And I was like a duck to water. I just couldn't do enough and couldn't create enough. And it was very, very exciting. I then moved to New York, and then my television show was based out of New York, Everyday Elegance. And then
how did you decide to move from LA to New York? What was that?
I tell you why, because all the celebrities thought that their time was more important and they didn't want to pay because they thought that they were celebrities. And I had bills to pay and I had a business to develop and to grow. So I moved a lot to New York. And it's interesting. I remember this one analogy. One day, once that person said to me, a celebrity in Hollywood, why don't you put Velon, plastic in the ceiling and light it to look like silk? And my client in Fifth Avenue said, darling, I want silk all throughout the ceiling. And I thought, I'm in the right place. And living in New York, then the Middle East opened up. And we started doing these really massive, massive events in the Middle East, primarily Doha, Saudi Arabia, Dubai. And it was a very exciting time for me because we're doing events for 2,500 ladies. The bills were $20–25 million. I was chartering 5 and 6 747 jumbo jets to fly in my equipment. There were not that many people who were able to scale and do parties of that size and nature at that time.
Yes.
And then I started doing corporate work, and I did a lot of work. He just passed away, an incredible mentor of mine, Saul Kerzner, who developed Atlantis and Kerzner International and Southern Hotels in South Africa. He believed in me, and I ended up producing all of the major openings of all of his big hotels. I remember the first real big one. I mean, in those days, spending $15–20 million on the opening of the Atlantis Royal Towers in the Bahamas, where I had Grace Jones jump off the top of a building as the Atlantean goddess. I mean, the ideas were so big and so over the top. And remember, this was pre-social media. So the key to the success of these big events was having a lot of celebrity, deep press, and then we put a huge spectacle in front of them, and all of a sudden, everybody had a full occupancy.
Yeah.
So that, and together with the One and Only brand. And then I think the last really big party of this nature was in 2008, when I did the opening of the Royal Atlantis Towers in Dubai and the launch of Palm Island, Dubai. It was the most extraordinary party ever. I mean, we designed a 4,500, no, what am I talking about? Designed a 20,000 square foot deck that was beached to host the actual party on. And then through, which today still holds the world's record for the largest pyrotechnic show in the history of fireworks.
Wow. Which
was designed to be seen from helicopters above and satellites and from guests below. And, you know, the Palm Island is kind of the shape of a palm.
Yeah.
226 kilometers. We had 19 minutes of fireworks that shot all those 26 kilometers. It was unbelievable. It was
amazing. That's making me very nostalgic, making me want to go back to the days when we could have these big events. So when COVID hit and you have all these incredible clients and everything in action, how do you continue to work with those clients through Zooms or digital technology?
In perspective for you.
Yes.
I just celebrated my own wedding in South Africa on the 22nd of February. And, I've been working on this for 14 months, and it was the most incredible event. And I thought I was coming back to a new TV show, a new book. I had all these parties planned. I had trips planned, destination events planned. And, shortly back from my honeymoon, unpacked the luggage and the world changed.
And so when it first hit, what went through your mind when, especially being in New York at the middle of kind of the explosion of cases, what was your first reaction when it hit?
Well, we kind of downplayed it until we got all the way home, and then really realized the seriousness. By that time, Italy was in a really bad place. China was in a bad place. New York was just really starting, and then it started. And then, of course, it was so crazy sitting in the city where 20,000 people died. You wouldn't want to go outside. We were cleaning our groceries with disinfectant. I would get naked at the door and put my clothes in the washer. There was a lot of fear. We had no idea because there was no crystal ball to any of this. There was no warning. And the interesting thing is, two things are going on. On the one side, there's this fear of your safety, right? And the second side, there's this fear of your business.
Yes.
And what happened, not only our industry, but I would imagine hardest hit was the travel industry, and without a doubt, the events industry. Within a period of weeks, 70% of my work literally came to a grinding halt.
Yes.
It came to a grinding halt, literally like this. And I can tell you, I have one event left on the books for this year, which was just booked last week, which is a smaller event. But everything big and major has all moved and made its way to 2021.
Yes.
And a very scary thought for everyone, because the first thing you do is you go into panic mode. And if you look at the different stages, there was this chaos, crisis, and then became confinement. And then we had to figure out what we had to do. And having weathered a few storms before, admittedly nothing as bad as this, but 911, we took a big hit. We took a big hit when the markets crashed in 2008, 9, and 10. So that was a pretty crazy, but nothing quite prepared us for what was going to happen with COVID. So the first thing we did, we negotiated with all of our landlords and credit cards and insurance companies and everyone, because the idea of giving yourself as much runway as you can to run your business. And I'm so grateful that we work in the United States, because the social programs and the support that we've had has been pretty amazing. I think nowhere else in the world have we been supported like we've been supported. Mm-hmm. So, being able to furlough and put your staff on unemployment and keep the benefits going, the government worked with us to allow us to get through this period. And I know that we will get through this, and I'm very excited about next year. I've also been able to pivot and use my teams now to develop our hospitality company, Thrive. And along the way, there were a few mistakes. The government bought us the PPP plan, which is very exciting, and all of a sudden forced us to bring back all the employees at one time, which is not that smart, because we know that while we might have stopped with a hard edge at 100% came to a grinding halt, the startup and the re-entry is going to be very slow and gradual. So you ended with all your staff and nothing to do with them. They've finally figured it out and they've extended the program, which makes sense. At that stage, I'd spent half of mine. But very, very trying. And I think, that it's all about your attitude, Julie, in a situation like this. You cannot take solace in what's happening to everyone around you and say, well, if it's happening to them, it's happening to me. You have to figure out, where do I find the light in the dark?
Yes.
And this is probably one of the darkest times ever, where you have to really go inwardly and think, how are we going to navigate and get ourselves and get our way to the other side? Not only from a financial point of view, but as far as your team's point of view. And the saddest thing, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I believe and have tremendous respect for every single person who's ever been on my payroll. And the sad thing is when you have to furlough people or let certain people go because you've invested so much of your time and energy into them to build your engines.
Yes.
So I think, part of the process, everything happens for a reason. I do believe that there will be a lot more light, but I think it's going to get a lot darker first. And I think that if we look at not now in the next 6 months, which I know we're interested in talking about, but just to frame this and to give it some big picture, in the next 24 to 36 months, I think that we'll see tremendous opportunity. And I use New York as an example. I think, and the hospitality industry, I think there's going to be a lot of these massive corporations who will tumble and crumble. There's going to be a lot of changing of the hands, a lot of changing of the guard, a lot of changing of property owners. I think there'll be a lot of reality checks within this. So all this ground floor real estate, which was a problem pre-COVID, that was empty, where landlords were holding out for 10x per square foot, whatever that astronomical number is going to be. And you look now knowing that maybe 30% of the hotels won't reopen. We've read that 30 to 80% of non-chain restaurants will not open their doors again, and 30 to 40% of retail, which tells you there's going to be a tremendous amount of vacant ground floor real estate all over the city, if not all over the world. And I think this little bubble has to pop. And then all of a sudden, what was 10x is going to be 2x. It's going to be kind of like a democratization that we get to experience for all of us. And it's going to level the playing field. And I believe there we will find a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, we've taken it as a time to, help the industry in any way we can with these digital events, digital education, doing things to give back. And in turn, we feel when we come out of this, we'll be known more and we'll also have a stronger brand. So we've tried to find the light in the darkness because, again, we feel the pain too. Obviously, we're at the center of the events industry. But what advice do you have? There's a lot of venues and hotels that have joined the call today. You work with a lot of venues. What advice do you have for them, or are you talking to your clients about in how they adjust their capabilities for events to return safely?
Everyone. So I think I'm relatively well informed. As far as the hotels and venues are concerned, I believe the key is flexibility. This was it was a scenario that's way out of our control, and we all need to work together.
Yes.
So that we can support one another. And in the beginning, I got some pushback from some venues, and then, once you paint the real picture to them, they've come around. And I believe that if we have to postpone an event twice, okay, we're being loyal to you, okay, you need to remain loyal to us. Because we need to service our clients. Without us, without our clients, we don't have a business to bring your way. So, and I said, so many people, forget the red line. I know that we have a contract that says I'm entitled to keep everything, not give any part of the deposit back. But I think you need to think more in terms of the long-term relationships. And the respect that we have between our different businesses that are also sympathetic with one another. And I think therein lies how we need to work together and come together. And I've found pretty much everyone has come on board and has said yes. I mean, even the airlines. Try changing an airline ticket to remain pre-COVID. I mean, you just paid and paid.
Fees,
Now, you can change the ticket, you can change the name, you can do everything. I think this is part of this, really. So just speaking philosophically for 1 second, we went through chaos and we went through quarantine, and now we're talking about re-entry. But I think that we need to think and ask ourselves the question, why? Why are we in this situation, right? And I think collectively, it's not just America. This is every single human being on the planet. And I believe that we're being taught a lesson. So I kind of liken this as to World War III. But instead of the enemy being Al-Qaeda or a terrorist group, we're fighting a virus. And the virus is winning because we haven't all learned yet. And I think little bit by little, we're going to learn the lessons. And for me, the two words that have come together that I think are so missing in our lives are gratuity and humility. I don't think we have gratitude for this amazing business and industry that we work in. We're running around at a crazy pace, and we don't have appreciation for all the wonderful things that we have. So I think this is also part of the learning curve that we need to go through. And I hope that these qualities will stay with us. Because having been quarantined for 90 plus days, we've all had a lot of time to sit on our own and ask ourselves these questions. What is our role in all of this? So I believe that each one of us has a role of responsibility as to how we are going to become better versions of ourselves and run better versions of our businesses and present the best version of ourselves and our businesses as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a rare chance for this industry to work on their businesses versus being in their business every day. And I know with, you know, the travel we are all doing, and I myself included, go, there's not that reflection time and to really sink in, like, where are you going to be in 3 years, 5 years, and how do you work better? So
Well, I was almost felt like a hamster on a wheel. And
yes.
I've flown 15.5 million miles around the world. Yesterday, I took my first flight in 100 days to fly from New York to Miami. And I felt relatively safe. I took all the precautions. But, you know, those 100 days gave me a lot of time to think and to ponder and prepare myself for this reemergence. So what does this new reemergence look like? And I think that there's no crystal ball for any of this. And I think a lot of it's going to be trial and error. And, you know, we know that some cities are opening, but then all of a sudden they're spiking because of the protests last week. So infections have spiked. So local governments have been instructed to keep the lid on again. At some stage, we have to expose everything because at some stage, we're all going to have access to this virus. We cannot remain locked up forever. The world is starting to decay now and businesses are starting to fall apart. We have to react. And we have to start to re-engage. And I think it's going to start, you know, in the different sections. I believe the first section to come back will be weddings. Because love waits for no one. Love never goes out of style, right? And, you know, everybody, no one's going to stop getting engaged and getting married. So I think that will come back first. I believe social and personal travel will come back next. I think then corporate, and I think corporate meeting spaces and other things, that'll be the last to come back.
I agree.
Look what we've learned to do with Zoom. For half the Zoom calls that I've done in the last 90 days, I would have jumped on an airplane for 10 of them to have taken those meetings. So that's the other great thing about what we're doing. We're growing as we're learning. And everyone says to me, what is the comeback? When are we coming back? We're never coming back. We don't ever come back. We move forward, right? Because the reason we move forward is that nothing else comes back, right? It doesn't come back to us the way that it was before.
Right. That's a good way to look at it, because I keep telling people some of these good habits, such as instead of a call, doing a Zoom and seeing facial expressions and at least feeling more engaged, those will continue for a lot of meetings, and that might improve people's lifestyles. I still think an in-person meeting, if you're pitching or relationship building or obviously an event, in person will never be replaced. But some meetings, you know, my husband travels 4 days a week. Maybe he could travel 2 days a week instead of 4 days.
I think you're 100% right. There's something, a transaction takes place when you face to face with someone that you can never replace with technology or looking at one another on a screen. So I think that's pretty much, you know, how we will come back. I think we need to look at what we need to do as an industry to come back. First of all, we're all talking about, are we coming back to offices? Now, I have a 6,500 square foot office. I have people who are on trains sometimes for an hour and a half a day to get to the office. They're not going to want to sit in a train anymore. I don't need 6,500 square feet of space anymore. I need a quarter of that size. So we could probably have, we've realized that we can still have good productivity with you, not working from home, but working from anywhere.
Yes.
So flexible working hours are going to be a new way. So this is where I talk about, this is not the old coming back. This is new. So we have to embrace these ideas because this is the way of the future. We also know that our consumer, or how we call them today, and I think they're now referred to as the audience. The audience, one thing I know, come back smarter with a sharper pencil every time.
Yes.
Every one of our clients knows that we are in a distressed situation right now. And when things come around, they're going to be shopping for deals like there's no tomorrow. So the consumer comes back a whole lot smarter. So we need to make our workspaces safe, first of all. Then when we get people back, we need to teach them the right vocabulary and vernacular of what are the safety protocols going to be. Then we need to teach them and install them of what they're going to look like in terms of a product. Like if we're having an event, we know that we're not going to have the salad bar. We know that we're going to have a buffet. And those of you who know me well know that I really don't like buffets. So I'm very happy to see that.
I'm happy that's going away. Yeah.
But I think that's exciting, because we need to look through a positive lens, right? So instead of having the salad buffet or the all-you-can-eat buffet, which for me always brought out the vulture syndrome in everyone, and everything landed on the plate, and the plate was this, and I looked at it in complete shock and disgust. That'll never happen again. So I think you're going to see like curated food stations where there's one protein, a salad and a starch and a fabulous wine that's paired with it's being made fresh in front of you. And you have dozens of these all over a room. So these are like the new products that we need to create.
Yes.
I think everyone now is focused on safety and on making sure that we are clean and healthy with almost like a sterile environment. We need to glamorize these protocols.
Yes.
Colin, I'm going to break in with a question real quick. So someone is asking about passable appetizers and how is a food station different in terms of safety? Can you weigh in on that?
Okay, so how's the food station different? With a buffet, you've got a plethora of food down a long table, right? So everyone could be sneezing or whatever as we're moving along. If we had a very chicly designed station, just like we front all of our bars and we front the DJ stand, okay, we'll be able to do these with food stations. There might be a clear lucite plastic around. Mm-hmm. The man's got a mask on and he's preparing food one at a time for you, one plate at a time, and it's served with a fabulous glass of wine. So the food station is limited amount of product per table. So you might end up with 15 different types of food stations and there's 2 of each. So you can wander and roam around a party. So I think that's how I see we would do things from a point of view from a food of me serving you. Okay.
It doesn't necessarily need to be that it's all served by a waiter. It still can be around. It's just not like open to people grabbing.
There's another way. What about taking a gorgeous silver tray with a beautiful glass dome on it or a silver dome on it? The guy's got beautiful cotton gloves on his hands. Maybe there are cotton gloves on top of the plastic gloves to make sure that it's completely clean so we don't get the clinical look and feel to it. And they walked in front of you, they lift the cloth up, you take yours, your appetizer, you put it down, they move to the next person. So now you're taking something that was almost verboten, right? But now we've made it glamorous and chic and elegant. Or like, you know, the cake, the cake stands, the glass cake stand, you walk around the appetizer, you show them, oh, I'd like one. You lift the top, they take one, you close the top. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think we'll be doing beautiful cocktails that have got a clear plastic top on the top of them. So you know that no one's touched where the lip is, no one has sneezed in your drink, that could be trade passed that way. So just as we're about to end the plastic use of the world, I think we have to put our carbon footprint, and as far as plastics are concerned, on the side for a while we keep ourselves healthy. So I think we need to look for how do we glamorize these things. Right. We have waiters wearing white masks and blue gloves. I don't think there's anything elegant about that. Mm-hmm. Why don't we do masks that match your flesh tone? Okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe the bartenders have got embroidered or drawn moustaches on them. We can get a little whimsical, a little fun. Maybe there's messaging on them, right? So I think we need to figure out how we do those things. And I think
you've talked before, you're actually one of the few people that I've talked about what the party host's responsibility, because you want to keep your team safe in addition to keeping the guests safe. What are the responsibilities of the party hosts for themselves and their guests when you have a party?
I think what we're still working out now is like the legality of it, right? For instance, what's going to be written in our contracts, you know, and how do we protect not only our staff, but how do we present ourselves in a safe way to our clients, right? So that's the one area. The second area is like, we've got all these clients and everybody is looking to us as an industry and to hospitality providers and asking us, what are you doing to ensure our safety? I reverse the question, say to the host, what are you doing to ensure our safety? If I've gone through and crossed off everything to make sure that we have a safe environment for you, you need to prove to me that your guests are either wearing a mask or they have negative, they have the antibodies, or they're going to social distance, do things the right way. Because I think it's a two-way street. You know, we need to hold the client and the host and the audience as responsible as they're holding us. Mm-hmm. And I think they sit in 3 particular camps, right? So the first camp are people like myself who's dying to go out. In fact, last night I actually did go to a restaurant for the first time. It was very nice to be served in a restaurant after cooking, chopping, slicing, dicing, and peeling for the last 100 days. So I think we're going to go out, okay, and we're going to, through our social media and connections and talking to our friends, we'll be the grassroots people from group one, okay, who go out because we felt confident and we felt safe. Group two are sitting there watching to see what group one have done.
Right.
So if group one makes its move, group two will get on board. Group three are staying at home till there's a vaccination.
Right.
So I think, you know, we're going to come.
Where do your clients fall? So let's say you have 50 clients, you know, is it like a third, and a third? Like what do you think is the mindset of your party hosts on their willingness to go back?
I think it's very mixed, you know, but some that just want to get married. They just want to get married and this is going to go away. And some who are very, very concerned. And I think at this stage, and I've said, listen, your event is now, we had a wedding this December, which we moved to next December in New Zealand because, you know, countries are closed down. You cannot do the pre-production work. I said, you know, she said, what about the menu and the invitation? I said, let's not do any of that now. Because as we get closer, we'll have all the time to do that.
Yes.
And, you know, most important thing is to secure your date, secure your venue, and your key creative partners, like the band and the officiant and who's going to take care of the wedding. And then you can put it on hold for a while and we can breathe.
Yeah.
You know, God forbid there's another spike in November this year, which causes another interruption, and then we'll have to like postpone events again. I mean, I have one event that's been postponed 3 times already.
Oh boy.
But they're open. They still want to have their party.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a mixed bag of people in different states of mind as to what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, there are many different models, Julie, in terms of what we can do between now. Now, I've had people say to me, you know, what does a social distancing wedding look like? Mm-hmm. And I've shown them a floor plan. It's nothing that anyone on this call wants to go to. When you're going to stand 6 foot in line, 6 foot apart to check in, and then go through your disinfection zone and your mask zone, and then to go to a table. Imagine 4 people at a 72-inch round table. Mm-hmm. You must give them cell phones to speak to. And I don't think there is any fun in doing anything like that. Why did I sign up for this business? Because God knows I love to party. I like to drink, I like to dance, I like to hug my friends. That is the goal we want to get back to. Yes. So my advice has been, you know, get engaged now, have a small 25, 50 people. I think soon we'll be able to do 100 people, social distance cocktail party, right? Yeah. And then do the big wedding next year when we can entertain with confidence and with style.
So you can have a small backyard ceremony. It can still be elegant. It can be beautiful, but it's 25 to 50 people. And then the larger celebration with family flying in or whatever can be in a year.
And a lot of people who are doing marry now and party later.
Yes.
So
I've heard that.
Families, it's, you know, it's 25 people, including staff. You know, she wants the long aisle, she wants the huppah, she wants a beautiful dress to walk down. They're doing that now and then having a big reception in a year's time. Yes. And then I think there's going to be a hybrid version of that, which will be like 75% real and 25% virtual. In other words, in an ideal world moving forward, we could have, say, 125 guests would actually attend. Yes. But those who are from group 3, who either cannot travel because of borders or because of health issues or because of fear, we could do some form of a hybrid event where it's real and maybe the ceremony and the cocktail reception is done where they get to Zoom and participate. And we know that we can have the ability to interact wonderfully with one another via Zoom. We could also consider the third element, right, the third dimension, and those people could be sent a bottle of champagne, maybe a little box of sushi or something that, so they could toast in with us. They're not going to sit there for 5 hours for the wedding, but they'll probably be there for the the ceremony and to toast you at the beginning of the cocktail reception.
And I know we have tons of questions that is like, it's lighting up. And so I'm not following along, but Pamela, why don't you start putting in some of the questions that you see coming up, and then we can come back and do a few more PartySlate questions.
Okay, so Colin, you're talking a lot about what wedding experiences might look like along the way, and also that we have opportunities to grow. What do you think is the long term? How are weddings going to evolve? What things will we hold on to? What lessons will we keep as things completely open up, a year, 2 years, whatever that looks like?
Hopefully, we don't need to keep any of these things. Hopefully that this is a 3-year, maybe hopefully this is a 2 to 3 year Band-Aid. And I'd like to think that, you know, this is 2020. There's some very smart people out there. We'll find a way to get back to the new normal, or should I say, or not get back, but to embrace the new normal, where we will be able to entertain freely with confidence and style. It's going to be a hybrid mix between now and then, because certain spaces are hotspots and certain places aren't. Certain countries were affected tremendously and certain countries were not affected.
Yes.
You'll find, like in the US, for instance, and particularly on the East Coast where we're situated, I think that it'll take longer for us to get to that point. There are other countries and other cities within the US who'll get back a whole lot quicker.
Yeah.
But I believe in the human spirit. I believe in why we got into this business in the first place. And I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than bringing a group of people together around abundant food and wine and to create merriment and these milestones that will serve and last us a lifetime. I mean, do you really want to show your daughter in 15 years' time pictures of all your guests wearing masks at the wedding, sitting 6 foot apart from one another? I think we need to look at this as a big interruption, as a big learning lesson to prepare us for where we need to go. And what goes with us and what will always stay with us? Hopefully what we've learned. I've reached out to all the vendors and creative partners that I've worked with. I've checked in with my friends in hotels. It means a lot. We're a big community together.
Yes.
I think we will get through this together. And I think these relationships, we've realized that our whole business is built on relationships.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll continue, and there'll be more respect for relationships, and we'll have a lot more humility and gratitude as we take and move into our businesses.
Absolutely.
All of that is absolutely true. And I think what you say about the hybrid kind of events in the meantime is definitely going to happen. And so we have a lot of planners asking about what technology do you think is a good investment to help foster those kinds of events?
Well, it's interesting because not 100% my wheelhouse, but I know several planners who have really spent a lot of time and money on finding, particularly those in nonprofit and those in corporate meetings spaces, who have figured out what's the best technology to work with. I think, you know, the abilities, think about it, I believe that Zoom's been around for a year. I thought it was invented in February this year. And because, you know, Google has one and Microsoft has got one, Facebook has got one, but first to market always wins, right? So I think Zoom will continue to grow, and you know, you can have events right now where we design a gorgeous backdrop behind us, right? That backdrop could be shared with the chairperson and the host committee, right? And then we can sell tables of 10, each person in a room, so that the host could come and visit you one at a time and have conversation with you. We could have a headline entertainer perform for us and then spend 20 minutes doing amazing, like a live online auction. And you could get the whole thing done in an hour versus having to go to some big hall and have rubber chicken for an hour and a half.
Yes.
And be stuck there for 3 hours.
Yeah, I think that the corporate gala, the virtual events will augment physical events and continue to be an important part of their fundraising.
I know if you're really looking for more information, check out BizBash. BizBash has put out a lot of really good articles on the technology that is available today, depending on what platform you work with and who your target audience is.
Absolutely. And we actually have a virtual event page coming soon that has a lot of resources as well. We think it's here to stay, but we, again, never think it's going to replace the in-person event. It's going to potentially augment, or like you said, a hybrid event, but not replace kind of face-to-face.
You know, think about how many times we jump on a plane for production meetings.
Yes.
Most of our production meetings were done sometimes on Skype, but around a conference room. I think, you know, you could have a production meeting from 15 different countries.
Yes.
The next event and do this and save a lot of money at the same time.
I agree.
It's very useful.
A lot of the planning and preparation can be done virtually. Of course, you want relationships too with your key partners. You already have those relationships. Planning, we found, is very effective. I mean, we're Zooming all day long, trust me.
Zooming here, Zooming there, Zooming everywhere.
Yes, absolutely. Pamela, do you have a couple more questions, or I have some?
So many, so I'm trying to comb through them. Another one, like while we're still kind of touching on virtual events, is in how we spend our time now, getting ready for events as they come back. What's your advice on whether planners should spend that time learning about how to produce virtual events versus building and nurturing their client base?
I think you have to do all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
You need to stay in touch, call all your clients. We've done some fun things. We had leftover beautiful, like a contemporary brocade, silvery gold fabric. So, and then I bought navy blue satin. So we did his and hers black tie masks with our brand inside of them. We
Mm-hmm.
sent that to some of our clients and said, between now and then, here's a glamorous way to keep yourself safe and healthy.
That's
Some
great.
clients, we did fabulous parties. We made jigsaw puzzles and we sent them jigsaw puzzles. Some people were sent some of our favorite playlists. So we've come up with all pictures of their events. It's a fun way to stay in touch with everyone. So stay in touch with your client base because everyone else is also looking at your client base too.
Right.
So look at your client base, look after all your vendors and start to figure out who is the new me? What is the better, new, improved version of who I am? What does my product look like? What does my communication look like? Are we going to create amenity kits for all of our guests that when they arrive, or it's sent with the gift, right? So there could be a purifying soap, there could be a mask, there could be a pair of gloves. Someone's flying, maybe there's a seat cover that goes on the seat for you. So this is like, it's all new opportunity for the big Band-Aid, right? Because hopefully, I happen to think very positively that, after 24 months, we won't be dealing. This will be a conversation of the past.
Yeah, let's hope so. In terms of the now, and there's like a lot of conversation on the side here about fear around people getting sick at events, and people are asking like where the liability lies in terms of producing an event where people come together, and then if there is some sort of outbreak of illness.
I'm not a lawyer, and I have no idea how to answer that question because, as a pretty savvy businessman, I'm asking myself all the same questions. Were you infected 3 days before you came to the event? Were you infected a week before? Is it taking 14 days for it to manifest itself? Can you prove that you were at our event? How this all started, I know that one person had a 60th birthday. They invited 60 guests and 48 people were infected because of that birthday and went back to their hometowns and things. So I think, this idea of tracking and tracing will play a big role here. And I think there are going to be a lot of things in our legalese that exonerate us from that type of liability.
I think it's going to be impossible.
On the other side is, how do we guarantee that every waiter that we've got is clean and free or doesn't have it? And I think we will learn because the big corporations, you've got so much money to lose. Like when you get 50% of the world's airlines will not fly again. It's a crazy statistic, right? So that those that will fly will figure out a test where you can get a result in 15 minutes. Yeah. Guaranteed, we'll be using those tests. And as with everything else, where the test was $30 before or $300 before, eventually we'll get the test for $20 and it'll be like a litmus strip that's in front of you. So I think, but between now and then, there's a lot of gray area, and not being a lawyer and just ask myself all the questions, the liability or potential liability is coming from all sides. Is it your team? Was it a third-party vendor? Was there something in the venue from before? Without bringing in forensics, how would we ever get to the bottom of that?
Yeah. I think the liability area is very tricky, and I'm also watching the corporations because the corporations are the one that are leading the way and spending a lot of the big corporations on, who is going to be accountable and the liability. I agree, it's almost next to impossible with the mass spread of the virus to figure out where it came from. At the beginning, it was easier, but now it'll be very challenging.
Still can't pinpoint it. I tested positive for the antibodies, and I think that I must have gotten a very, very mild form. Flying back from South Africa, I had to go to engage in Dubai, and I stopped in Doha and Oman because it was on my way. Yeah. So somewhere there, I picked up something. I can't tell you if it was the day before, which day it was. Right. I had a very mild dose of it. I didn't realize it until I got my test last week.
Yes.
So, we don't know that much.
We don't know. We don't know.
Still not.
So, let me ask one quick question. I've saw this come up earlier. What advice do you have for some of these companies? I mean, everyone is feeling the struggle right now on what they can be doing now. I know we're really advising, build your digital brand. Obviously, we're a digital platform, but you can't be in person. And so your footprint, you guys do a really good job. Your PartySlate profile is amazing. You're great on Instagram. Your website is beautiful. How would you advise these companies to focus this time on these kind of business building initiatives to build their brand during this time?
I think to do what you can do, you know, and start showcasing your work. Everybody's very, very active. They get more time to look at Instagram and Pinterest and all these other social media platforms more now than ever before.
Yeah.
So we've been very active, you know, on our Instagram page and our Facebook page and how we're posting and what's on stories and participating in webinars, learning as much. I've never seen our industry more involved. I've never seen our industry more generous and more kind with one another. You know, we're a very kind, generous industry. We really are. And how I've felt that my peers and competitors have all reached out. We've all reached out to one another. In fact, every Monday, 20 of us get on a Zoom call for an hour, just to talk and discuss and to share ideas, learning from one another what's going on. That's why I said, you know, this is a great time to find all your competitors, get together, come together. This is a great opportunity to show unity versus distance. Because versus distance, you're going to be left out in the cold on your own.
And at the end of the day, none of us have faced this particular situation. So I've been through September 11th, I went through 2008, but not this situation. And so I do think we have to help each other. And I feel like so many people are stepping up to share knowledge, you know, WIPA, you know, free webinars, smaller local groups. I think there's a lot of coalitions that are getting together. We're actually going to host a webinar with some of the coalitions that are working with local government on the policies and how to open back up for events. So I think there's a lot of positive things in organization that is happening.
Yes, indeed.
Pamela, we have time for like 2 or 3 more questions.
I'm going to take us back then to the micro level, because a lot of questions have come up about entertainment. So like, what does the dance floor look like? And then entertainment in a virtual sphere. How do you engage people with entertainment when it's being offered virtually? So those 2 entertainment questions.
Okay, so let's start with the dance floor. I think the dance floor, you know, I was always the proponent that have the smallest dance floor and pack as many people on, because if you go to a nightclub and you're rubbing shoulders, you feel like you're backing the wrong horse. If you go to a nightclub and there's 6 people in the dance floor, you look at yourself like you're strange, right? I'm in the wrong place. So I think our dance floors will be bigger. Maybe they'll be sectioned off in 10 by 10 sections, and couples each take a section. Maybe there'll be a couple of pop-up smaller dance floors in different places. There'll be several of them. There might be a 4 by 4, a couple of 4 by 8 stages, so that it'll happen around and within a party versus just in one particular spot. And then as we get safer and safer, the dance floors will get smaller and smaller and become more packed. But for now, I think that the safest way might not be the dance party, because when we dance, we get a little crazy. You know, we think that we John Travolta meets break dancing meets this, and all of a sudden you're all over one another. So I think let's focus on the socially distanced cocktail parties. We do dance on a bigger dance floor with satellite dance floors around the space. I think that makes sense.
And of course, you can have entertainment there, just not, you know, with music and live music, just not the dance kind of the.
Correct. And I think you can have the band. You can have a socially distanced band. Or listen, there's another thing, guys. You know, I'm a big proponent. Now we need to start creating pods. We should give permission to one another. I have been doing this for the last month, where it was just Danny, myself, and a friend of mine, Naim Khan, the fashion designer, who lives a block and a half away from me. We became a pod. And I had 2 other girlfriends. They joined our pod, you know, and this pod is mixed with a couple of other pods who are completely safe. I think that's how people might end up dancing as well, and might be entertaining one another. We've been doing small dinner parties, you know, obviously as safe as possible, but I've let my guard down a little bit because I'm with people who've taken the same precautions that I've taken for the last 90 to 100 days. So the second part of the question, what is the virtual entertainment like? You know, it's interesting because when you saw how you had the Rolling Stones and Lady Gaga and people do these incredible concerts from their cell phones, literally from their cell phones, they performed for us, you know, on these sharing platforms. And I think you can get a smaller experience for someone to do 1 or 2 songs. Otherwise, it's going to be like watching a concert on your laptop on television. Yes. So, you know, again, it's the Band-Aid for the real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. So on that note, since this has been traditionally such a big part of your business. Can you talk a little bit about destination events and what the future might look like for that?
So I've had so many people from Mauritius, from the Maldives, from St. Bart's, from all these islands say, we're a great destination. What can we do to promote us? And I said, you know, you're a great destination. I think the only thing that stands between me and you going there is how we're going to get there. Okay. So we need to wait for the airlines to prove to all of us, right, that it's safe to fly again. And if you're, you know, in the economy part of the plane, can we pack people in 333 in an aisle? And what is it safe? It's too soon to tell. I know airlines are doing that right now. I don't know that that is considered safe. So my advice at the moment, there's another thing, the countries are shut down. You cannot travel to South Africa. You cannot go to New Zealand. You cannot go to so many countries that are still shut down, not allowing anyone to come in. I think that destination weddings, as in France, Italy, Germany, Africa might be, I think those should go away for the year.
Yeah.
Right? And you know why? We need to support our local economies.
Yeah.
Our local economies have been very hit badly. So instead of spending our money in France or Italy, let's spend our money right here in the USA where we can support one another. And I think to that note, you want to do destination weddings that I think the driving has become the biggest trend right now. Everyone's driving to Montana, they're driving cross country, they're going to the Grand Canyon, they're doing things that have been on their bucket list for a long time, but they're getting behind the wheel and they're driving. They're not using
That's what I'm doing.
public transport. I have a plan too. They're not doing public transportation. And I think you want to do, and if someone is going to fly, you want to encourage someone to fly from A to B. You'd have to go from A to B to take another plane to get to C or a bus to get to C or something. It needs to be very clean in and out. And I think, you know, destination weddings will never go away. It'll always be a big trend and something that we should support, but we need to wait until such time as it's safe to do. And here's another thing, you know, I heard a client say she wanted to get married in Scotland. And I said, how many of your friends have lost their jobs? How many of your friends have been furloughed? How many of your friends have lost a lot of money, right? Yeah. Not everyone can afford to buy 2 new dresses and jump on a plane and fly to Glasgow. And then
too much to ask right now.
Too much to ask of your guests right now. And I don't think we should be selfish. This is not about what we want. Yeah. I think it should be about what's best for the situation. And a good host is a kind host who, you know, I always say to every bride and groom I've worked with, not only is the focus of attention on you that day, but the real focus of attention is on you as the quintessential host and hostess. Mm-hmm. So what is it that you're doing to make your guests feel comfortable and to feel elegant and to have a safe environment? So Absolutely. Bottom line, spend local.
Local, I agree 100%, not only to support the economy, but also for ease for your guests and also you know, again, the travel situation, I agree with you. It's going to be a long time before the mass feels comfortable hopping on a plane or spending the money to hop on a plane right now. So I agree. One thing we are focused really, you know, my heart hurts for everyone that has been hit by the incredible, you know, economic situation that we're in. And obviously our industry is like at the center of it because I never thought I'd work in an industry that's government regulated, and we are now in a situation where it's government regulated. I wanted to offer to the group, especially to new people that don't know PartySlate, we would love to help you set up a free profile page on PartySlate. We will help you do it. I just have to brag 1 second for you, Colin, because I know we've been working with your team. Hopefully you can see my screen to share your beautiful work on PartySlate. I'm obsessed with your events. We've added so many new features like multiple cover photos for our premium members. You can come down here and see your gorgeous, you have 48 events, Colin. We'd love it to be 100. Yeah, we'd love it to be 100. I'm obsessed with this desert wedding in Utah, which I know. Oh, I have to click into this one, Colin, because it's just so overwhelmingly stunning. And you can see
these arches over here, they were all made of mirror. So they reflected all the mountains in the background. So basically my theme was mirror, cement, and stainless steel. It was beautiful.
Look at these beautiful arches. So our goal is like to be the Vogue of event design, to feature the beautiful, beautiful events that this industry does. And again, everyone, so your friend Dennis Kwan here, who I love, he's credited. So if we click on that, we'll go to his profile page. So our goal is, again, create a free profile. We will help you. You might ask, how do we make money? If you want white glove service, if you want your content promoted, if you want extra exposure, things like multiple cover photos, you can pay a monthly subscription fee, and we can tell you more about that. But again, we want to help get your content that you have on Dropboxes all over the world onto PartySlate. A very easy way to get started is just to apply right here at the 4 pros. Click here and you can just go apply for a PartySlate profile and we will get you started. But I just wanted to, Colin, thank you so much for your early support of PartySlate. I remember again meeting you and telling you the vision, all about event design and all about taking these professional photos and videos and creating an easy place where you can share it. And you supported us from the very beginning, and your team is amazing to work with. So I want to really thank you so much for your time. We only have 4 minutes left, so I don't know, Pamela, if there's any last minute questions. Otherwise, I will jump to talk about next week.
And before we do that, I just want to congratulate you and your team. In a very difficult and a tough time, you've built something very notable. It's very user-friendly. You've brought tremendous community for us, the ability to share our work, to share with one another, not only with industry professionals, but for anybody looking to find out more.
Thank you so much. And again, not just weddings, 50%, we believe the global industry is about 800 billion, maybe it's about 400 billion now, but 800 billion at full speed. And, about half of that is non-weddings. And so corporate and galas, they're so beautiful. We want all inspired entertaining on PartySlate. And again, you can get started with a free profile and we can always help you if you want more. But next week, I've been very active in Chicago with Black Lives Matter and really taking a look at what we can do. We're looking internally as a company to be more inclusive and to feature more Black businesses, which we will be doing. And next week, we're going to be hosting Gertie Design, who is an amazing planner in New York. And we're going to talk about building a really strong brand and making inclusivity part of building that brand. And so, again, we are excited to take a hard look internally. We've created a diversity, inclusion, and equity committee, and we're taking it very seriously. And I'm just really proud to see so much action happening in this industry, but we're going to start by listening and learning. And this really session next week is going to be a great talk about what we can do together and what PartySlate is doing specifically in this area. So we have a lot of things going on right now. And I'm telling you, if you're not ready to lead through, challenging times, get out of the business, because this is it. So between COVID, financial crisis, and now social unrest, again, I think leading to positive things. I'm just so thankful that there's so many strong leaders in this industry that are stepping up to the plate, making an impact, sharing their knowledge. Colin, you've been so generous with sharing your knowledge with us behind the scenes and also on this webinar. I'm just inspired by this industry. So thank you, Colin. You're amazing.
And everyone out there who's with us, hang in there. We're all in the same boat. I feel your pain. I have the same pain as you do. It's all relative, yes. And we will get through this, and we'll get through this together.
Thank you so much. And for all of your questions that you've asked, if we didn't get to them, we hope we can get to them as a follow-up. You can always email me directly, julie@partyslate.com. Pamela's got a ton of articles coming out, not only on COVID and events opening back up, but also featuring Black-owned businesses and a lot of other exciting things. So thank you so much, Colin, and we will talk to you soon.
I look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you.
Bye.